What's going on, people? It's Mr. Door back again with the review show from yesterday's game. I hope everyone's fit and well. Yes, we'll talk about yesterday's game. It ended Tottenham Spurs 3, Nottingham Forest 1. And what can I say? We've got lots to talk about. Everyone's got opinion about yesterday's game. People in the comments get involved. What was your opinion about yesterday's game? If you're new to our channel, please do hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and comment below. Get your thoughts about it. Right, let's get the panel in. First of all, let's start the young man, Stephen. You're gonna start with the young man, Stephen. How you doing, Stephen?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good, Ben. Hope you lads are okay as well.
Yeah, you've had a haircut, Steve.
Yeah. 2 months out.
Oh, days. Next, I don't know where Adam's gone, but I was about to introduce Adam, but we've got the next man, the journo man, and the good guy, Jay. How you doing, Jay?
I'm all right, thank you, Dor. Thank you for that very kind introduction. I hope you're well, mate.
Yeah, good. But like I don't know where Adam's gone, so he might pop up in a minute.
Adam to Swords. That's where he is, working as Jack Grealish lookalike.
Yeah, people, as you know, he is the Jack Grealish lookalike. But people in the comments, please show some love to our panel and myself. Right, before we do start about this game, I can see the comments. But here's Adam. I don't know where he's gone.
Sorry
Adam,
about that, lads. Sorry, it was the sound problem I've had. Sorry about that.
Unbelievable. Adam, how are you?
Apart from that, yeah, I'm all good. Apart from yesterday's result, but we will talk about that. Absolutely,
we'll talk about it. So, people in the comments, like I said, show some love to all the panel. Before we do, let's go through the comments as well. Mohammed says, shocking performance by the Reds yesterday, and maybe Johnson, Warner, and Hensey might be injured. Let's hope Johnson's okay. Don't care about Warner or Hensey. Just care about Johnson getting better. Coming to the US, I think everyone is. And as you know, he came off with a slight strain, but that's something that we can talk about. Derek says, sadly, I think Steve Cooper has 3 games to keep his job. If we don't win the 2 games out of 3, I think he'll be sacked. It could be, you never know. And again, Derek says the same thing again. Mark says, sack the manager and get a new contract in by 8 games. No chance, Derek. Again, typing out no contract, but we won't need a miracle man with 8 games left. There isn't one, that's why. But she said we need to be calm. 8 teams with us in dogfight, I think, because so many teams are in there. We need 10 points at 11 games, certainly. Paul says, let's not panic, keep the faith. Kel says, even Dor, Jay, and Stephen. Adam, I hope you're good. We are good. We are good. Paul says, there's those comments coming through. Forest have to win one of the 2 games next. If we don't, I think we'll be relegated. I'll go through one more. Eve, good evening, Mr. Dor, Steve, Adam, and Jay. Hope you're well. We're going to call in 2 joiners while watching and listening at the same time. Hold on, Eve. You keep joining. Why don't you join Steve with his new haircut?
Hold on, Eve. Keep it going.
As well, Danish Red. Evening. Oh, how you do, Danish Red? I'm going to go for this last one before we do talk about it. Even though I'm so sorry for the chat that traveled the length and breathed the country to watch the same rubbish served up the time after time. Okay, right. Let's talk about yesterday's game. I'm going to go through. Let me go through Jay. Jay, what's your thoughts about yesterday's game?
It was not obviously the result that we wanted, that's for sure. I thought that going into the game, some games you have that feeling where you might be able to get something out of a game, and I thought that Spurs were in a point of time where they looked a little bit weaker than usual. They still had that potential to go out and absolutely smash us, which, to be honest, I think if they'd taken the chances a little bit more, then, and they were incredibly unlucky with the offside decision at first. It wasn't offside. I just want to say that it was onside, and it should have been a goal for Richarlison. But I don't like the guy, so I'm not going to complain. But I think we got lucky in a lot of respects that Spurs didn't score more. Does that mean that we couldn't have done more, though? We should have done more. I know that Spurs have got some brilliant players. Harry Kane is obviously going to be the name we talk about, but Oliver Skipp made our midfield just look non-existent. I thought that Mangala was okay. Freuler and Shelvey didn't have much of an impact, I don't think. And then, obviously, going forward, there was no service anyway. So and it's hard to kind of motivate yourself when you've got no service coming. And some of our forwards, they're going to have to try and dip into our own half to try and get the ball and go forward with, which is annoying. So there's no link-up play. Again, it's another issue we've had for the last 3 or 4 weeks. And then the defence was, it just looked like there was no communication going on. There was so much space left by either fullbacks, and just gave Spurs so many opportunities to make crosses in. So I think I know there's been a lot of kind of criticism towards Navas, I think, in the last couple of days, or in the last day, 24 hours, I should say. But I don't really know how you can blame him, because there wasn't a cohesive and performing defence in front of him. So just all round a game to forget, but they just got to lift the chins up and go again next week.
Steve, what was your opinion on the game? It's crashed. Steve, can you hear me, Steve?
Most boring 41st half I've ever seen in my life.
Can you hear me, Steve? He's crashed.
Am I back?
Talk now.
Hello?
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah,
Hello?
carry on, Steve. Carry on.
Yeah, I'm talking. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can hear you. You just crashed here.
This was probably one of the worst. All right. The first half was one of the worst 45 minutes. About bored, completely bored. Nothing going forward, nothing to get excited about. I sat there for 45 minutes with my arms folded. Nothing happened. I learned a new saying yesterday, Dr. Forest. Have you seen that saying going around?
Yes.
We've done it now with Brendan Rodgers at Leicester. We've done it with David Moyes at West Ham. We've now done it with Conte with Spurs. We go into these grounds where Spurs are top 4, which is mental to say they're on a bit of a dip. And then we just go there, and all of a sudden, everything seems rosy for the other team. The manager's up and down, running around, going mental. The fans are going mental, and we just look like just there to be beaten. And it's really sad to see, really. Like Jason, we give Spurs too much respect, I thought, and we just look nervous on the ball. Again, it's frustrating me, Ben. I've said it so many times. These teams do not have to fight to get the ball back off us. They're not even showing aggression. We just give them have the ball. It's so frustrating. Just yourself, even if you just take some.
Steve, come out. Steve,
in and out.
Steve, come out and come back in, because you keep crashing.
Out.
Yeah, come out, come in, because you keep crashing.
Okay.
Adam, what was your opinion on the game?
Overall, I think it was a bit like the Everton game. The first half performance let us down again. I think, we did show him too much respect. And I personally think it was the worst performance for Joe Worrall throughout the whole season, personally myself. Despite him getting the goal, I think he was, the first goal, he just watched that Kane goal go in. Harry Kane's a world class.
Yeah, but can I say something? I'm not trying to disagree with your opinion, but it wasn't Joe Worrall's fault. It was Serge Aurier.
I think in a sense, like I think, with that being said, I watched the game and I think it was, apart from Felipe, I think you are right with an Aurier, and I think looking at that, and I think when it came to that game, we showed him too much respect. You know what I mean? And I think with someone like Kane's caliber, like Kane always gets in the right places at the right time, and if you give him those chances, with him being a goal poacher and all that, 9 times out of 10 he's going to put that to the back of the net. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the first half performance let us down, like he did against Everton in the City Ground. Second half, we sparked up, and I think we improved second half without a shadow of a doubt. But I think with us being 2-0 down half time, I think it's the first half performance that let us down. And I think if it maybe been 1-0, it probably been a different game. We might have snatched a point if Ayew would have put that penalty away. But had that been said, it was just like the Everton game. The first half performance let us down. And we know we can do better than that. And it just frustrates me to a degree. And I know we're going to probably talk about Emmanuel Dennis in a bit, because that guy frustrates me like there's no tomorrow. And I know he does you, Ben, because I saw your vlog earlier, and he was absolutely shocking. And I watched him, and he was absolutely shocking. He came on, he didn't really... He did a bit more than what some of the players did throughout the game, but he's still that same player that we've seen that's come on. Does that make sense? And how he's played for us ever since he came to us. So for me, for Emmanuel Dennis, he's just frustrating. I don't hate the guy. He's just shocking and frustrating for me. And, you know, and when he first came, and I thought, oh, yeah, this guy's good. You know, I was buzzing about him. I was absolutely buzzing about him. And I probably weren't the only person. But it's just been it was so frustrating in that game. And I forgot who it was now. Dennis had the ball, and the Tottenham player just easily won it off him straight away. And then that's when they went on the counter-attack. And that's what Tottenham do. They'll sit back, and then they'll wait for the teams to go on the attack, and then they'll get possession, and then they'll go on the counter-attack. And that's what Tottenham do. And then when Emmanuel Dennis had that ball taken off him, he had it taken off him cleanly in that moment. I don't know who it was, but whoever it was, they took it off him cleanly. And for me, Dennis is just so frustrating to watch at the moment. He really is.
I'm just going through the comments, and I said, but I've seen it's not just around there's a few players, and this we're going to talk about Joe in a minute, because there's good and bad about it. I understand people's frustration, but people getting personal about it, I think that's wrong. But each to their own. There's a hi people. Hi, great channel. Thank you very much. How you doing, Rad? Dad, hope you're well. Ricky says Furry needs to be dropped, plays both sideways and backwards. Another player that we'll be talking about as well. OC 1865. Coop has earned the right to see out the season. No need to panic. 100%. That's like I said. That's my opinion. Michael says people need to keep positive. We'll be careful what we wish for. We stick to the plan and trust Steve Cooper. 100%. Like I said, there's lots of topics to talk about, people. So please make sure you do hit the like button if you can. We've got to talk about it. Joe Worrall. Let me tell you, Jay. And again, this is my opinion, and I don't want to get everyone going blah blah and all that. He didn't have a good game, Joe. And he put your hands up. He didn't make the first and the third goal. I've seen the comment about, I don't know where it is. I think it came from Mark Abbey, I think it is. It wasn't his goal. It wasn't his fault for the first goal. It wasn't his fault for the third goal. The way people have treated Joe Worrall on social media is absolutely disgusting. You can have an opinion about having a player not being great. That's fine. But when people want to go personal on Joe Worrall, it's absolute disgrace, because I keep saying it over and over again. It's easy to target an academy player. Ryan Yates had it when he was playing rubbish. Brendan Johnson had it when he had it. But then again, Joe Worrall is slow. He's this and that. He's not a Premiership player. It's his first time in this Premier League. I'm not saying he's a fantastic player, but the way people have treated Joe Worrall, especially on Twitter, it's absolutely disgrace. People comment, what do you think about the people's comments about Joe Worrall? Let me ask you, Jay. What's your thoughts on Joe Worrall?
I think that he's stronger alongside Bolly than he is Felipe. And I think that before I go into more about Worrall, I think it should also be noted that, you know, I don't think any of the back four had a great day yesterday. And that's not to say to write them off. You know what I mean? You've got all brilliant players, and Joe Worrall will come good, and he has had a lot of good games in the Premier League. But he wasn't a good game for him yesterday. You know, you would be naive to say it was a good game for him yesterday, right? Felipe had a shocking game yesterday as well. And I think that people are scared to kind of question a new player given his previous experience at Atletico. People are scared to say that because they don't want to, you know, question someone like that. But, you know, it wasn't a great performance all round. And, you know, Joe didn't have a good game, and it was difficult for him. And there was certain elements of his game that was exposed. But he can work on that. And I think that it applies to life as well. If you are having a bad day, would you want someone to come and shout at you, berate your family, just completely come out and insult you at your workplace or on social media as people are doing? Because I know half the people wouldn't say it to his face, the things they are saying, because it's not as simple as saying he didn't have a good performance, because that's okay. Saying that is okay. You have an opinion. You have a right to opinion, as someone that pays to go and watch Forest and travels, but you don't have the right to an opinion just because you pay to watch a game to go and insult him and insult his family and just attack him. That's wrong. And that's just not the way it should be. He's a human being. And to be completely honest with you, we all have those bad days. And I'd rather have someone pat me on the back and just keep spurring me on and motivating me. Because at the end of the day, what other options have we got than Joe Worrall? Near Carte's on the bench. It doesn't mean he's fully fit yet. He's on the bench.
I've seen, and this is another frustrating what tells me. Sorry, Jay, sorry to cut you off. People are about getting the Carter in, get him in, because Joe Worrall's this and that. He hasn't played a game. He needs at least 4 or 5 minutes or 1, 2, 3 football.
You can't just say chuck a player who's been out for near on what 8 or 7 or 8 months and just chuck him back into the Premier League team. It's impossible.
I tell you this summit, Jay. I agree with you, because the thing is, I love Near Carte, and when he's match fit and when he starts playing more games, he's got that captain material about him, right? Okay, but with Joe Worrall, like with him, I saw it, and when he made some mistakes yesterday, he could see on his face he was frustrated with himself, because he knows he can improve on that. Do you know what I mean? So I could see his facial reaction said it all. Like, he actually cares. You know what I mean? It was frustrating yesterday, and everyone has a bad day at the office. I've had a bad day at the office. Everyone in general's had a bad day at the office. I've had a guy who I used to work with, and he used to criticize. He criticised me, never agreed with what I did, but I just got on with what I needed to. And at the end of the day, Joe Worrall will just get on what he needs to do as a footballer. And at the end of the day, look at Ryan Yates, like you said, Ben. Ryan Yates used to get absolutely slated.
He got absolutely destroyed.
Exactly.
Absolutely annihilated.
And you know what, Ben? He must have sourced all these tweets or whatever. I mean, I don't use Twitter, but I use Instagram, Facebook, whatever. But he must have seen all these comments or whatever, and he thought, you know what? I'm going to prove these people wrong. You know what I mean? I'm committed to this club. I don't care what these people think. I'm going to do my absolute 100% best to make sure I get my position at this club and do my very best. And that's all I can do, right? And Joe Worrall, he just had a really bad day at the office yesterday. Okay, he's had a couple of bad games this season as well. I'm not going to deny that. But yesterday was a really bad day at the office for him. And I could see on his face that he's frustrating with himself. And this is a guy who cares, because if a guy who didn't care would not have that expression on his face that he's frustrated at all, right? 100%. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who you're playing against, whether you're playing against Tottenham Hotspur or you're playing against Notts County or Basford United. At the end of the day, he had that frustration on his face, and he cares about how he wants to get better. And players can only be better footballers when they can get better and look at themselves in the mirror. And that's what I know you don't like Neil Warnock, but that's what he used to say to his players. You say, look at yourselves in a fucking mirror and all this, and know where you made the mistake. And Joe Worrall would do that himself, because he's that sort of person. He's firm, hard-nosed, and he wants to, do better than what he has done recently. And Joe Worrall, I've always liked him. He's got Forest on his sleeve, like Ryan Yates, like any other player that's come through the academy at the club who supported him as well as a fan. But he knows he can do better, and time will tell. Time will tell whether he will do better or not.
And can I just add as well, right? Just before, I don't want to interrupt Steve because I know he's going to say something next, but I think that as well, there is of course no room for sentimentality in the Premier League, and I understand this point, because there's fans that will make the point There's no, we don't have room for sentimentality. Staying up is the one objective that we should have as a football club, and that we do have as a football club, and it's the only thing on Steve Cooper's mind. But when you've got such a limited selection list as Steve Cooper does, you have to just get behind Joe Worrall and Felipe and the entire back four and the whole team, because it's incredibly strained. So, Worrall, he's going to have bad games. And yes, he has had bad games. And yesterday was one of them. But you name me an alternative. Well, you're not going to put Bolly in there. You're not going to put Steve Cook in there. You're not going to put Scott McKenna in there. And Niakate, well, you're just going to risk him again. You've got to get behind the players that are available to play.
100%,
That's all you
100%.
can do as fans. Play your part.
100%. Steve, you come in and out the stream. Is your internet okay?
I think it's the Welsh storm we had. That's snow, I think.
Steve, we just saying to Jay and Adam about the treatment from Joe Worrall, and we just said he had a bad game, and it happens to everyone.
Yeah.
What's your opinion about yesterday's game and the way he's been treated on social media?
Look, no player should come to any abuse online or in person, or like we saw with Everton a few weeks ago with all them fans surrounding Mina outside around his car. And, yes, as fans being entitled to an opinion, but when you get personal and start verbally attacking players, at the end of the day, these are professional footballers. And Worrall has dragged us up from the Championship. Only about 7 months ago, he was lifting the playoff trophy in Wembley. Like, you know what I mean? I got the picture of Worrall on the back of my phone. We were lifting the trophy, as a print, and it was predictable yesterday with the challenge. I've watched football long enough. I could see it coming a mile off. Worrall committed. Richarlison knocked the ball in front of him, made that gap for Worrall to commit. Richarlison probably sensed it coming, even though he's a bit of a tool. He knew what he's doing. And Worrall committed. And remember, only a few years ago, we were begging Worrall not to go. Fans were pleading him not to go to West Ham and Burnley, and and all of a sudden now he's the worst player ever. It's just one of them games, like you said, Ben. All players go through bad games. All players, and they have dips. And at the moment, Worrall is just having a bad time at the moment, and he's finding it hard. He's having a harsh lesson at the Premier League level. This is not the Championship now. We are playing established Premiership clubs week in, week out. We are finding it hard. At the end of the day, Spurs are not a great team. They are the top four, like I said before I crashed earlier. They're not a great team, but they are the top four. They either win or they lose. They don't draw many games. Yesterday was just a harsh, they've still at the end of the day got two world-class players, Son and Kane.
Yes. And they scored.
And I know someone...
I may add a third, Steve. I may add a third to that team who I think is world class is Kulusevski. Kulusevski is another one, but they have a few world class players.
Yeah, and that is the difference at the moment. Like when we played Fulham about a month ago, they had Willian. At the moment we're not at their level yet. We haven't got that world class name. We've just got players to get us through. We're still establishing ourselves. We got to aim to be where Brentford. The three teams, Fulham, Brentford and Brighton are now. It may take 4 or 5 years. We may have to go through real struggles like we are now. We really are on a dip at the moment. And I'm sure we get to the Cooper drama in a moment, or the abuse he's getting as well. We just got so short memories as fans, and I keep on going back to it. Some of these fans, were they there before we went to the Premier League? Were they there when we were middle table Championship, struggling, like go back to the Ipswich game about 5-6 years ago? It's just a short memory. At the end of the day, players like Worrall, you need around the club, and I'm telling you one thing, if he left tomorrow, I'm sure a lot of fans will start. I tell you, you can't, be careful what you wish for. That's all I say.
Right, there's 115 people in. Thank you very much for everyone that's taking part of watching this stream. Please do hit the like button as well. Before we talk about the next subject, I'm going to go through the comments because the comments are coming thick and fast. Because, like I said, it's about Joe Worrall. It's about quite a lot of stuff as well. This is from Silencio. Thank you for being a member. If you want to be a member as well, people, please do hit the $sign. It costs $1.99. You get the vlog there easy. Exactly, Dave. Worrall knows he messed up with the pen, but he's been nowhere near as bad as some players say. Need to keep it behind him. 100%. There's going to be players that I will be mentioning in the stream about that wasn't good enough as well. This is Jay. Even all say hi to Jay. I bumped into you in Beast and WH Smiths.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was so random. That was amazing. I love that. Hi.
Opinion is one thing. Opinion abuse about another player is actually out of order.
Yeah,
100%. I think this is from Mark. I'll get it back. Worrall wasn't any player that had a bad game. He's taking a brutal of all the blame. I'm not, like I said, I will be talking about players that I personally thought was worse than Joe, but
yeah,
they don't get mentioned because they're not academy players. Just saying. As well, from Forecastle, look at Southampton, Bournemouth. They had good results, still bottom 3. This must be feeling good as well. As well. This is from Levels are it. Worrall is not Prem level defender. But what player would you play centre back? What else? What player would you play centre back? People say Nottingham, he hasn't played no game time, as Jay just said. He hasn't played no game time.
That's the thing. That's the thing, Ben. He's not played since early on in this season against West Ham. So, it's a lot of several months out with injury. It's a long-term injury pretty much. And Worrall's had to step in. And the thing is, it's a big step for him because obviously he's never played in the Premier League before. Like Ryan Yates has never played in the Premier League before. Like a lot of players haven't. And, to say Near Carter, yeah, don't get me wrong. Near Carter, when he's fully back and fit, and in my opinion, he would be captain. He would be captain quality. But for now, for the time being, for what we've got in front of us, we've got no choice. Like Jay says, we've got to play what we've got in front of us right now, and they've got to perform. It is simple as that. They've got to give it 110% best. And Joe Worrall knows he messed up yesterday. I could see on his face because he's a passionate footballer. And nowadays, I'm not being disrespectful towards anybody in football, but he's one of the very first several or few that is really passionate about his club. Simple as that.
Just reading this number. Adam, anyone has Discord? Adam, I haven't got Discord. Just thought I told you I haven't got Discord, but I can do it if you want me to, people. If you want me to have Discord. I'm going to go for another comment as well. This is from Jojo Huntston, another member to the channel. That's the best thing that ever happened in the last 20 years. We just stick behind the team and try not to be negative. It's always going to be a hard season. I'll be happy if we finish 17th. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't be happy to finish 17th? I would. But we're 14th. Things are still going our way. And from now to the end of the season, we're going to have more downs. And before I talk about again, it's funny because fans will say, when Cooper wins game, then you get clubs look at watching him. And when he loses, get him the sack. But it's just... I don't know. It's crazy.
I think if I'm being honest with you, those people who say that and then they'll go, oh yeah, and all when we're winning all these games, and then when we start losing, and then they call for Steve Cooper's head, they don't look deep enough into what's going on in the dressing room, perhaps what's going between each player who's been playing that day, etc. They just see what's on the screen. They don't see what's deep inside that dressing room, and probably some of those have had us as like their second team. You don't know, but at the end of the day, like everyone's entitled to their opinion, absolutely. But at the same time, they don't look deep. I think some of those who commented on that, and then they call for Steve Cooper's head, they don't look deep enough to what's going on. That's just why I think.
Right, we're talking about Steve Cooper, and like I said, there's people saying, get Cooper out, he's not good enough for the manager, blah, 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 this and that. People in the comments, right, and get your comments in. I'm going to do a poll. Do you want Cooper in, or do you want Cooper out? That's the point. That's the most important thing I want to put. I'm going to put a poll up in a minute. Let me ask you, Steve. What's your opinion of Steve Cooper?
I love the guy anyway, because he's brought success for us, the first success in 23 years. Got us promoted. At the moment, I've never known a season though where we've been so chalk and cheese. Are we the same team at all? It's just an absolutely uncanny. Like, it's not Cooper's fault that there's midfielders giving the ball away so easy. Like yesterday, Freuler, Mangala, like Freuler was frustrating the hell out of me. There was one instant in the first half. The ball was about 5 yards in front of him. He didn't even run for the ball. That's not Cooper's fault. That's where where's Cooper comes into it, is where that's where he lays into him. I did read something earlier that he laid into Dennis for the third goal, I think. But then you could see them, and he was encouraging Dennis because Dennis was up and down that touchline. So it's down to Cooper, yes, to encourage him. But it's not Cooper's fault when, okay, he does set the team up, but when the players are giving the ball away so easy and it's so frustrating, that's not Cooper's fault. What is slightly Cooper's fault is how we set up away from home. I just wish, I'm sure some fans would agree and disagree with me. I just feel, just have a bit of a go at these teams. Yeah. I don't know, we just, away from home, I don't know if it's because we starstruck in these stadiums and we're playing these world-class players and the players are just like in awe and we're just nervous on the ball and we're timid. Timid's a good word, actually. We're really timid away. But at home, we're just like a different animal. We just like I said before I crashed earlier, yesterday, that first half, I can't remember the last game, even under Chris Hughton, I sat there with my arms folded. Nothing happened. We did nothing.
Yeah.
Can you name it? Bar Shelby's shot, literally a minute before the end of the first half. That was it. The only thing we did have over them, I think we had 6 corners to 1. We were up on corners of them. If you clutch onto anything, but that first half was so bad. And is that down to Cooper? It could be, but then a lot of it, like I said, you got to blame the midfielders not keeping the ball,
and that's what I would talk about as well. Like, let me tell Jay. Like me personally, like I said, and Steve just said it. The midfield were, for me, shocking. I'm a fan of Remy Ferreira. I've always been a fan of him, but he was awful. Mangala, everyone's saying Mangala was better out of the 3. Why did he go off? Jay, what's your opinion on anything as well? People, get your comments in. Who was the worst player? No. I was here. Who's the worst player? I said because I'll see the comments later on. Who disappointed us today? Jay, what was your opinion on the midfield? Because it was awful first half. Awful.
Again, I think people are scared to say that Shelby had a bad game because he's a new player and he's got a lot of Prem experience. He didn't have a good game, guys. That's how it is. And just sometimes just kicking a ball long and just hoping that someone takes it on, whereas I think it should be a gradual build-up. But at the end of the day, we can't seem to do a gradual build-up because, as Steve says, we're getting the basics wrong. That's the problem. We're getting the basic things wrong. And it's all right being able to do any trick you can do or have a shot from somewhere, which we're not doing really. But we are getting the basics wrong. We're not stringing passes together. We're not chasing players properly. It's the basics. And I think Mangala was the better out of the 3. And when he came off at half time, I was really shocked. I was really, really shocked. I just didn't understand that. I don't know the situation with Mangala. I don't know his fitness situation. He's not played for a few games. He's been missing. So I don't know what's happened. But Steve Cooper felt that's the best way. And on the Steve Cooper debate, I don't even think it is a debate because a divided club is a relegated club. And at the end of the day, you've got to stick with Cooper until the end of the season. And obviously, if anything comes into question, then that's the end of the season. But you can't be thinking about making a managerial change, given our position, given our form, and given, our club. I think Forest fans often think at times that we're more important and bigger than we are. We are a small fish in a very, very big pond at this point in time. And I regard Forest history very highly, and I thank everybody for their contribution to what they've done for Forest over the years. And we sing about Champions Leagues, but we want to start doing things now, and we've got to kind of release from that the high horse that a lot of Forest fans seems to sit on, and just kind of look and go, okay, realistically, we've got to get behind the players and just get on with it. And at the end of the day, I think Steve's right in saying that we should just go and have a bit more bite in these away games. Look at West Ham. We let them play around us, made it look so easy, and considering West Ham have found a bit more form, in all fairness to them, and, they have got some good players in there. but to lose 4-0 was terrible. You've got to go out there and attack a little bit more. We're just too defensive. Since that Man City game, I think it's actually been a bit of a negative turning point. It was such a good performance defensively, but it's like we haven't wanted to switch out of that defensive mode now, which I don't understand. You've got to try and attack against so many of these teams.
Yeah, you have to.
I just think we're way too defensive away. But at the end of the day, Steve sees them 6 days a week, and I see them for an hour and a half. So he'll know better than I do. But I just hope that some improvements can be made ahead of Friday.
Another player that, for me, I don't like the good players at all. But for me, it's another topic we can talk about. I can see in the comments as well about Jesse Lingard. For me, I don't. First off, again, we can make, like I said, where's Jesse Lingard's criticism on social media? Why has no one gone for him? It's like I said, people. It's easy to target the academy players. This was frustrating. I'm not saying good person on Jesse Lingard. I'm not saying that, but I'm talking about his performance. He was awful. That's what I'm saying. But this is from Neva Singh. Lingard is done. He looked unfit and tired after 20 minutes. How you doing, Pat? The legend himself, aka Billy. Jesse Hadamir didn't look fit, interesting, would be ambitious, but at least we have to go and throw Sturridge in the middle and Jono and Mo gives wide. Truly bizarre how far down the pecking order he's fallen. I've seen a lot of comments about Sam Sturridge. I've seen loads. I have seen the comments. Let me ask you, Steve, about Sam Sturridge. Like we said about Dennis, Andre, how are you? People in the comments, I get criticised. I'm going to go in. I get criticised for saying Sam Sturridge is the best finisher at the club. My opinion, I think he is, but he's not getting game time. So, Steve, is it hard? Are you frustrated he's maybe not on the bench for Forest? People in the comments, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I don't know if something's happening in the background between him and Cooper. Because for me, if you go back, right, the whole January thing, is he going? Is he staying? Is he going to get game time? Is he going to go out on loan? Then I heard rumours he wanted to fight for his place. Then he was quite happy to sit on the bench. Then he wanted to be a first team player. Then he wanted to go out on loan. Kept on swaying every day. And he went right up into the last minute, didn't it? He almost went out on loan to, was it West Brom or something like that?
Yeah.
Or Burnley?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. How many times did he change the game when he comes on? There's a few games he's changed the game when he's come on. He's definitely an impact player. And then again, he hasn't started enough games to see what he's like at a Premiership level. But for me, he's definitely. Everyone pins back to that Blackpool game in the FA Cup. I mean, it was one of them games. Like last season, he would have banged them in for fun. It just happened to be one of them games. If he had scored them goals, we probably would have beaten Blackpool. But the Premiership level, he hasn't really been given a chance. And for me, don't know. I don't know the history of Cooper. I mean, I'm sure all managers fall out with players, but maybe him and Cooper have had a little spat or something's happened. It does happen in football, and we got to remember to think Cooper. He's entitled to fall out with players if he feels maybe something is going on and he doesn't agree with them, vice versa. Maybe Sam doesn't agree with Cooper on something. It does happen behind closed doors. So for me, though, I hope it does get resolved, because for me, he needs to be used more, because I agree with Adam, with Dennis. He is frustrating. Obviously, Cooper likes the look of him. One thing I would say on one thing about Dennis, him and Ayew did more running around yesterday when they came on than some other players, to be fair to them.
Yes.
To be fair, even though Dennis did give the ball away, Dennis was tracking back, to be fair to him, and he won a few fouls, and Ayew as well held the ball up. So on that part, they did a bit more than the first half performance, which you couldn't get any worse anyway. But yeah, coming back to Sam, he's definitely someone who should be on a bench then to come off and try and... With Sam, he offers us something different. And it's just his whole physique, the way he wins headers, the way he gets in positions. He needs to be on that bench, 100%.
I've gone for the poll people. Like I said, I know it's a stupid debate, but I've got to put it out there. Steve Cooper said 9% says yes, 91% says no. People put your thumbs up. Was you the 9% that put Steve Cooper sacked? Like I said, I'm saying I'm not trying to say you're right because it's your opinion. So people, what did you say? You said yes, and the reason why you think Steve Cooper gets sacked. People, there's 126 people in. Thank you very much for in this stream. Like I said, there's still a lot to talk about. Again, we've got another 19 minutes. Jay, let's talk about. Let's say something positive because my favorite player Ryan Yates come on, and it's good. And it's good to see. It's good to see him back, wasn't it, Jay?
Yeah, the thing I like about Ryan Yates is he demands a standard. And not just within himself, not just within his midfield, but in his squad, for his team, for his club, from his fans. He demands a standard. For someone as young as he is, I'm surprised that he can lead a team quite as well as he does. Because, he's had a very tough month and a half, with illness, as far as we know. And it's been really difficult for him. So, for him to come back, get an assist in his first game back, and then come on against Spurs and be part of that last 25 minutes or whatever he was on for, if that, it was good. It's just good to see him coming back and making that appearance, because he is the kind of midfielder that we need at the moment. And to be honest, who would I like in my midfield three? It's really hard to say because there does have to be changes. But for me, the first name that would be on that sheet is Ryan Yates. I wouldn't even be thinking about Remo Freuler, and this is in no disrespect to them because players go through difficult times. Players don't fit in with certain teams, and sometimes it just doesn't work out with certain guys. But Ryan Yates, I think every team needs a Ryan Yates, someone that gives 110% every week, someone that just has an unlimited amount of passion, incredible amount of fitness and stamina, and someone that can do pretty much everything you need him to on the pitch. He can defend, he can link the play up between the defence and the attack, he can get you goals, he can get you assists, and he just does what the manager tells him. He doesn't complain. He just gets on with the job. And he reminds me of Colback in some ways, but a younger version, just someone that just gets on with it. And I think he's Mr. Nottingham Forest as well. He's someone that has just come on leaps and bounds and done so well this last year and a half, 2 years. And to see him back is brilliant. And I think he will be an absolute game changer for us in these last 12 games. You need someone like Ryan Yates there. Whether he's fit or not, though, and this is, I know people are going at Cooper for not putting him in the first team, but you've got to remember that if he's not fit, Cooper's not going to risk him. And you should always put health before anything else. So it's a tough one in regards to selecting him yesterday, but I think overall he's going to absolutely change our last 12 games, and we need him now more than ever.
100%. Again, there's another topic that everyone was talking about on social media. The Brazilian pace, Scarpa and Diallo. Adam, you get this one. What people as well in the comments get involved. What's your opinion on it? On Cooper not even putting Scarpa on the bench, Diallo not even getting on the pitch. What's your opinion on that?
I think it's just a bit of a mystery because I just don't know what it is. Like,
Do you think they want to be in this battle that we are in?
No, I don't think they want to be in the battle than what we're in now, right now. I think they want to be, pretty much in the team. They want to keep being consistent. And I think, what players will want to be in the battle what we're in right now, even the players we've got now. But I think with Danilo and Scarpa, I heard Steve Cooper on Radio Nottingham talking about, Danilo getting used to, the British weather. I was going to say English weather, but British weather with the snow. What's been happening recently? Because he's not been used to that in all due respect. But I think I just don't know what it's a bit of a mystery because I look at Scarpa and I think if you bring Scarpa on or you play him, like I'm taking nothing away. Giz White's an absolute gem to the team without a shadow of a doubt, right? But I look at Scarpa and I think if Gibbs White weren't playing well, for example, right? If he weren't playing well in the game, Cooper will bring him off and bring Scarpa on, who could play in his position. And I believe Scarpa could change the game, right? When it comes to providing that service for the attackers, it can change that. It can change the game.
Based on what though? What have we seen of him in the Premier League to actually warrant?
Alan, let me say something. Alan, let me say something before you carry on. I've just seen a comment and about him. This is from Derek. I want you to answer this. Scarpa is like Carvalho. He's like a luxury player who isn't for the fight that's needed.
I don't agree with him. I don't agree with him. I don't. Carvalho. The thing about Carvalho is, he got a few goals for us, and he was one of those players. That's the thing, because Carvalho played in the Championship with Forest, and he cost us a lot of money. Scarpa didn't. He cost us nothing. He just cost us in wages, right? So for me, to compare him to Carvalho is just, I think it's absolute nonsense. And for me, for Scarpa, I just don't think he's had enough games to prove his point. And if he did, and he played crap, then we can say, yeah, maybe he is like Carvalho. Maybe, because obviously Carvalho played in the same position as him. Maybe he can say, yeah, okay, he was like Carvalho, a luxury player. But for me, for Scarpa, he's not had enough. He's not had enough for everyone to say, oh, he's like a luxury player and all that. You get where I'm coming from. So,
yeah.
You know what I mean? If he did, then yeah, 100% you can say that. But for me, Scarpa's not had enough game time. Same with Danilo, right? Same with Danilo. I'd put Danilo in front of Freuler right now, right? And put Yates, and maybe put Yates, I don't know, if it came to the worst, if one of our centre-halves was playing poor, because don't forget, Ryan Yates played at centre-half last season for a few games, didn't he?
Yeah.
Right? And he played okay, didn't he? To his degree, right? He played okay. That's only if it came to the worst, right? But for me, if obviously it came to with Danilo getting this chance, then you may have to switch the formation a little bit. You know what I mean? Just to make sure Scarpa's in there, Danilo's in there to play to their suitabilities.
And Scarpa had a kid though. I'm pretty sure that's
I've just seen it. Scarpa,
it's true.
He was there. He was there. Scarpa had off-field issues something to his crypto.
Oh, right.
In Brazil.
Right.
That's what I'm hearing.
Okay. That explains it. If that's that explains it, right?
And he's just become a dad as well. But he was in the squad. He was
there yesterday near the bench.
He was there yesterday. So like I said, you never know what's happening off the pitch.
Fair enough, Ben. I agree with that, and I think prior to that, and I think Scarpa could give a lot to this team, and I know Cooper we trust. I love the guy. The guy is he's done miracles for Forest without a shadow of a doubt. And he's took us from a deep hole. He's got us all the way to the top, and and at the end of the day, like. He was my plan. He was my plan B to become the next Forest manager after Chris Hughton, because obviously Chris Wilder was the top option, but obviously that went tips up, didn't it? But with Steve Cooper, he was the plan B. So he's done miracles for Forest, and like my granddad, who Dylan knows, of course, my pops. Yep. He never knew much about Steve Cooper, and I told him about Steve Cooper, and I said the guy knows what he's doing. From his past experience in England under 17s, he's coached Phil Foden, Sancho, Tomori, Morgan Gibbs White, Conor Gallagher. You can go on and on and on. Phil Foden, you can go on and on and on, right? And and when he went to Swansea, okay, we did beat him once. We did beat them once when he was at Swansea under Limuche, but that was the counter attack, But at the same time, when he came in, I was absolutely buzzing. And I didn't get my hopes up. I didn't think it was good. I honest to God, I didn't think me or anybody was thought was going to be the Premier League. We was trying to be realistic, weren't we? But you know what? The guy's done miracles for us. And if anybody wants to go out there and say, and call his dad and say, oh, I'll get him sacked and all this. Ray. He's not going to. I'm not being funny. He's doing better than what Brendan Rodgers is doing right now. Right? This is a guy who's been in the business. He's been the head coach or manager longer than Steve Cooper has, right? But Steve Cooper's accomplished more than he has done in a space of in the last 7 or 8 years, right? And he took a team from the bottom, from the absolute rot, who was on the void of going to League One, all the way to the playoff final and did it. Even though it wasn't the prettiest game, he did it, right? He got us to where we've been after 23 years, right? And I personally don't think Brendan Rodgers would have done that at Forest. No disrespect to the bloke, but for me, you know, he's done so much that managers would crave to do. 100%. Simple as that.
100%. We have one more topic before we do leave. This is a important question. Like I said, I've just seen on social media about some people say Forest are staying up, some Forest fans say they're going down. I put a poll up: are Forest going down? Yes or no? And I asked the panel one by one if do you think Forest will go down, and we'll see how it is. But see people get your comments in. Let me ask you, Steve. Everyone's saying Forest are going down because we're in this bad form. Do you think it's going to happen? Yes or no? And explain.
I still say we'll have enough, just purely on our home form. I think we are just clinging on. Like I said earlier, we are just a different animal at home. I know we've got some tough teams at home, Arsenal, United, but we've shown in 9 games. That's what people are forgetting as well. I find it funny that everyone's pinning on the away form. It's very hard to win away in the Premier League. Who's got the best away form in the league? Can anyone answer in the comments? Do any of you 3 know? I don't know. Actually, know the top of my head.
Probably Arsenal, isn't it, or City?
Arsenal, City, most likely.
Yeah,
I did.
Man United, I think it will be. I think maybe.
No, United have lost a fair few away.
They lost 7-0. Can you remember?
Yeah.
And they drew 0-0 against Southampton today. Casemiro got sent off. So
yeah. I think Liverpool have only won 3 away all season, which I read. You know, when you look at it, next season, I think we will stay up just about. But next season, we will have to rectify our away form. We will have to pick up more points on the road because it will catch us out eventually if we just rely on our home ground. But at this stage, we can't be picky. We have to pin the home games. Hopefully, get some points against United and Arsenal at home. Away from home, I've looked at the fixtures. Maybe we can get something at Palace, possibly a draw, because they're on the slide. But then again, we're playing them towards the end, so they may pick up by then. But then they could slip right down because they are struggling at the moment, Palace. I've watched them and they are struggling. Who else have we got home? Brighton would be tough, but I fancy us to get a draw there. We gotta beat Southampton and Wolves at home. Newcastle, a massive game on Friday now, which could go either way. I think that'll be an end-to-end game. Myself, that should be a good game. But away from home, yeah, it's just Ben. I think it's just people are pinning it on away. Yes, we are poor, but at home, just look at us, chalk and cheese.
We haven't lost since Fulham.
Exactly, we haven't lost in 9 home, and that's really good for the Premier League. That's a good record, and we've played some good teams at home: Chelsea, Liverpool, City. We shouldn't fear United and Arsenal when they come, and especially Arsenal. We've proven we can beat Arsenal at the same ground. They hate coming to our ground, Arsenal. You know, and frighten them, get stuck into them. And then coming back to just go back to Yates, right? What I love about Yates, and he's really grown on me. And you know, Ben, I was slightly critical of him a few years ago because he did frustrate me. But with Yates, I don't know if I'm sure you agree, Ben.
Naughty boy.
with Yates, right? One thing I say about Yates, when he's on the pitch, right, he's not the best player on the ball. He probably admit that himself. He's not one of them players who beat 3 men. He's just got this presence on the pitch. And if it means a tackle, like Jay said, okay, you have to go with a 50 pence piece head where it goes over the bar a lot more than the goal from 6 yards out. But take that aside, the guy just offers something on the pitch. Even if it's just a tackle to get the crowd up, he just wins the ball back. He just starts the game from the front. To me, he's really vital now going to these last dozen games or whatever's left. I mean, it is going to be squeaky bum time, but I still think there's 3 worst teams in this league, and us. There are, Bournemouth are picking up points for Southampton, but I think they just paper over the cracks. I think they're still poor sides. They are poor. And at the end of the day, they got to give it now because they know games are running out. So teams are they're not just going to throw the towel in, because if they are still in within touching distance, if Southampton are on 12 points, say, they probably would have just cut the drift. But, they are fighting for their lives now, which we just got to stay above that line. And if we end up 17th, I don't care.
I don't care. Who wouldn't? I just saw a comment as well, and this is from John G. Hurst. How you guys think we're not going down is a mystery. We can't win away. Plus, we can't win at home. It just draws. I doubt that we stay up. Hope we do. We just say who's. We've not. It's a draw back. It's a draw back at home. We're not losing. So, a home form is important. If we lose against Newcastle on Friday, then it is a massive, massive problem.
That's a problem, then, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be a massive problem because, like I said, if we play on Friday and the teams on Saturday playing on Sunday, then we can think on, because as well, Mamalak is going to think. I don't want Cooper to go, but Mamalak is an ambitious person, and he wouldn't want to let team that he owns going down to league.
He's a businessman. At the end of the day, this is his business. He's put money into this. He's put 100 million of his own money into this. If it's not going the way he wants it to go, then he'll get rid of Cooper. There is no room for sentimentality in the world of football, and definitely football ownership. As much as I can highly regard Marinakis and thank him for the work he's done for Forest and keeps doing, brilliant work, right? But, on what G. Host said, I mean, I know that a lot of people are going to probably just attack him, but at the end of the day, things do have to change in order for us to go up. I know that there's Forest fans that are kind of, we'll just stay up. It'll just happen. But it's like, this is the biggest challenge we've faced in 23 years. And we've got to face it with real force and persistence, because these last 12 games are going to be huge. The away form has to improve drastically and so quickly. And we need to be getting a couple of, more points at home, but we should be positive and we should have that optimistic outlook and just get behind the lads, because at the end of the day, none of us could go on that pitch and, Dore might be able to after that performance at Birmingham, but,
why do you keep bringing it up? Why do you keep bringing it up?
Well, I'm just saying, but none of us could go on the pitch and do it ourselves. So let's get behind the people that can. Let's push for that last 12 games.
Yeah, you've got a good point about Marinakis. At the end of the day, football is a business nowadays, right? And it's a results game, isn't it? So, and I think with that being said, like, Cooper's done us absolutely miracles without a shadow of a doubt, and he's galvanised the team in the best way possible. He's kept the players positive and knowing they are better than what they performed on shooting. So, and obviously that's why we are where we are now, of course. But I think, between now and then, go to the Newcastle game. I know it's a big ask, and I know we don't normally do well against Eddie Howe team, but we need to win that. We need to win that at all costs. We've got to bully them like we've done against Liverpool, like we've done against Manchester City, like we've done against Chelsea. We've got to bully them. We've got to get in their faces. And, for me, like, I'd start Ryan Yates in that game, someone who's...
Call back. What about last thing we go? What about call back?
Oh, of course, this is his old club. I don't know. That's a difficult question to ask because I think for me, Colback, I love Colback. Don't get me wrong. And if Matt's watching, I know he loves Colback. I know he does. But for me, like, that's a gamble in itself. For me, Ryan Yates would, if he gets to that midfield in place of Freuler, he will get in their faces. He'll get in the faces like Joel Linton. He'll get in the faces like Bruno Guimaraes. You know what I mean? Players like that. And that's what we want. And I think we need to start Ryan Yates next year. That's just my opinion. It don't have to count. If people want to agree with me, thank you. But if you don't, that's fine. But all I'm going to say is we need to start Ryan Yates next game. And no disrespect to Freuler. I personally think Ford is not a centre midfielder. I watched him in the World Cup. He looked more of an attacking midfielder, but that's just my opinion.
Cool.
But for Ryan Yates, we got to start him against Newcastle because he shows that grit in that middle of the park, right? And you can forget. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I want us to start Surridge that bad. I mean, I used not.
No, he wasn't that bad, Adam. He wasn't that bad yesterday when he come on.
So other than the penalty, I thought he played really well. Actually, I thought how many players did you see run from the right and just completely stream through the middle of the field, get around all the Tottenham players, and maybe try and get some passes out to the wings or the middle?
I just hope if Cooper plays him on the wing, then we've got some hope because he's a winger. I've watched him for Swansea and West Ham, and I watched him first. He's more like he's more like a winger. And
to be honest with you, sorry, I'd gone.
Yeah, so for me, I use more of a winger, and in my opinion, the thing is, it just depends what formation Cooper plays. I'm going to be straight. I'm going to be straight. John Bull, we are. I wouldn't give Lingard another contract next season.
No, it's been enough. Well, I've seen on Twitter earlier they saying that they're not renewing nothing with him. He's going.
No, I wouldn't keep him.
Lingard's not going to be fit enough to play in the top level ever again. I just want to say this: Lingard has had some. Obviously, you can see he's just not been fit for long enough, and I know that there's people think it's form is the reason he hasn't been playing, but he's been in and out of injuries for ages. Since the kind of World Cup kind of time. So I feel for him in some ways because he has got that fitness problem, but as again, no room sentimentality and. No way they'll extend his contract in the summer. No way.
I just say one thing.
Last one.
It's just injuries, Jay. And I think if he wants been injured consistently, and if he would have performed, yeah, you may give him another year. Like what we did with Sammy Omiobi, we in the Championship, give him another year. If he, but the thing is with Lingard, in this instance, he's not. He's been in and out injured, and we can't have players at the club. I'm afraid. I like Lingard. I think he's a fantastic lad, but I just don't think with his injuries and everything, we've got to think what's going on in the pitch in the day. We can't let personal things, as personalities, get the better of the team. It's about what we do on the pitch in the day.
100%. Right, before we're going to do the rating, the players, how do you feel before we do go? Because Jay has to do some homework. So, people in the comments, what was your rating about yesterday's performance? We'll do a quick one. Steve, what was your rating out of 10?
First half, 0.
Yeah.
Second half, 3.
Yeah.
Best player.
For
the Forest kit man, I think. Or the one who brings the water on.
Physio.
The physio.
Adam?
I'm going to give it a 2. Simply because I think it was a 0 first half, like Steve said. I think we perked up a little bit second half, but for me, it's not even enough to get to a 3. So for me, it was 2. I think the best player. I can't even say the best player on the pitch. I think Dennis spots a little bit about. I think it was just an overall thing for the team. So I can't say he was the best player on the pitch. So I'm just going to give a 2.
Okay. Last but not least, Jay.
I was going to say 4, but everybody's going so low, so I don't know whether to bring it down a little bit. 3.5, 3.5, and I'm going to say my best player was Brennan Johnson because he's the only one that seemed to really play his heart out of that game, to be honest.
Okay, mine 1, 0 first half. As you know in the vlog, I kept saying shocking. At the halftime one. So first half was just I'm not going to do 0. I'm going to do -2. That's how embarrassing was first half. But second half, slight improvement, and I'll say 3 out of 10. And player for me, the kit man. That's for me. That wasn't great, but it is what it is. Right, people, Jay, Adam, and Steve, it's been a pleasure. Thank you everyone for coming on. I'll be back on Tuesday for the Newcastle preview. Quit early one because I've got work Wednesday and Thursday. So I will do the preview for Newcastle on Tuesday. with a Newcastle fan. So watch out for that. Jay, you got anything coming up on your channel?
I believe. Am I going on yours on Wednesday?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Wednesday. See.
Jay's doing a preview as well for Thursday. So watch out for Jay. He's taking over me because like I said, I'm working on
Just for
Wednesday.
the day. Don't get excited.
Don't get excited, please, as well. So watch it up. So make sure everyone watches Jay out from the channel on Wednesday for the Newcastle preview. So thank you very much, Jay, for that. People, please to show some love for that for Jay as well. And Steve, sort out your internet because we know the Welsh people down there don't pay their Welsh too much as well. People, make sure everyone follows everyone's socials as well. Make sure Jay, we follow Steve and Adam as well in the socials as well. But yeah,
I just want to say something, Ben. Me and Steve, we're big wrestling fans, aren't we? We're big wrestling fans, aren't we? That's another thing we love. We're big wrestling fans.
No, Steve loves it more than you, Adam. I
won't go that far. Come on. Come on.
I've got to disagree with you on that one. Well, people, it's been a pleasure. Like I said, I'll be back Tuesday and Jay will be back Wednesday. But like I said, people, keep the faith. And on social media, please keep it safe. Don't have an opinion about the poor performance, but don't attack the player personally. Because if you're moaning about Joe Worrall blocking you on Twitter, good. Don't see bloody nonsense on Twitter about him and go personal. Right, people, thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you Tuesday.
Joe Worrall, keep your head up.
Peace and love. Up the Forest.